Thanks for tuning into Reach Radio, a podcast for public health professionals looking to expand their network, be inspired, and discover resources and tools that help improve the experience of public health professionals and patients in their communities. I'm your host, Fran. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Reach Radio. I am so excited to introduce you to Kiwoba Allaire. She is an amazing woman who has such an amazing story, and she's inspiring. Her dedication to helping young girls building successful futures in the tech industry is one to be cherished. Kiwoba devotes her time helping girls of color from underserved communities improve their lives by providing them with new experiences and mentoring opportunities to advance themselves in the areas of STEM education. She herself has overcome major adversities in her life, and today she is a shining example of what is possible when corporate executives focus on giving back to the community to improve the lives of others. She lives by the words, "Let your faith be bigger than your fear." Kiwoba, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm super glad to be here, Fran. I appreciate you showcasing my nonprofit, Girl STEM Stars.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the work that you guys are doing.
Yeah. So again, my name is Kiwoba Allaire, and I am the founder and CEO of Girl STEM Stars. We advance Black girls and youth of color in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we do this by going on site before COVID to companies like Google, or we take a busload of 50 girls to NASA, Microsoft. We had planned to have 100 girls at Facebook in March, but COVID hit. And these experiences are life-changing for the girls, absolutely life-changing. When we're on the bus to NASA, I'll ask the girls, so who do you want to be like when you grow up? They're like, oh, I want to be like Beyonce. I want to dance in a video. Or I want to be a veterinarian so I can play with puppies. But at the end of the day, when they've spent time shadowing Black female rocket scientists and the Black woman at NASA, and they sit down and they get to have lunch with them. They even hosted a barbecue and a dance party for us. And the girls are like, I want to be like that Black rocket scientist. She's trying to find water on Mars and she has braids. It just looks like me. She looks like me. Boom. They've got a new icon in their lives, a new, what I call STEM hero. And this is where you have exposed a child, taken a child out of an underserved community like East Palo Alto, like, Richmond, Hunters Point, East San Jose, and from those little communities into NASA. I remember the parents were crying, the mothers were chaperones, and they were like, I have never imagined that anything like this ever existed. They come from these communities and they're like, what? I remember getting off the bus with the girls when we went to Yahoo, and they got off and they were like, this looks like Disneyland. Oh, wow, this looks like Disneyland. Oh, look at them cute Chinese boys. And they're like, what I got to learn to work here? Boom. They haven't even walked in the building yet. What I got to learn to work here? So I get emails from parents all the time saying, what did you do to my kid? She wants to be, a rocket scientist. Or when we spent time at Google this past trip in February of last year, 2020, we did have an actual Black female astronaut come and speak to them. And they got to speak to the VP of engineering of YouTube. And they're like, oh, I know YouTube. Oh, she's the boss of YouTube. I want to be like her. Boom. We've, created more STEM heroes, and we've shown the girls that if she can be it, I can be it. Great role models. Now that we are virtual, it's been quite different, but I'm sure you have some more questions for me.
No, that's awesome. That's really exciting to see all the amazing impact that you're having directly on these young women. That's amazing. Where do you see the opportunities being for in the future with your organization? Where would you like for it to go?
Well, right now we're stuck in a digital world. We're in a virtual world, if you will. So I am campaigning for laptops. MacBook Pros, is what we're getting donated right now. And we want to expand our coding program. And we want to also be able to take the program nationally and eventually, and globally. And I think we can do that at the same time. We've been recording some of our virtual sessions and sending them to educators in Africa. And so now I can feel how fast and easy it will be to go national and global because everybody's stuck in a virtual world.
Yes, they are. That's very true. And looking at that and the notion of how and where, the spaces in which you want to grow, what are some of the challenges that you find yourself coming up against?
This pandemic hit my nonprofit and nonprofits across the globe really hard. Everybody has been just fighting to stay alive. And, I think people don't realize that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that, there's bills to be paid. There's so much that's going on and we need funding. We need sponsors. We need donations. And after that, I need more teachers of color. I work at a tech company, so I have a lot of people that, are Caucasian or Asian that are, very interested in teaching. And I'm like, yeah, sure, teach our girls, but they need to see people that look like them teaching them as well. So I've been working with Black at Apple for like mentorship. They reached out to me and said they wanted to do a career panel. And so we had 5 of them do a career panel and the girls were really, really blown away. And it's funny because you think they're not watching or paying attention because they're eating their little Cheerios and they're looking at the screen and they're looking at the TV watching cartoons and you're like, oh my gosh, they're not paying attention. But after everything's over, we ask questions and we get like, oh, Miss Gina was talking about networking. I want to know more about that. We're like, oh, okay, Cheerio girl was listening. We get emails from parents going, wow, my daughter wants to know more about what Miss Lisa was talking about because we have the girls be respectful to our panelists. So we've starting to set up, mentorship opportunities. So it takes a village. It takes a very large village. And we need some of the village leaders with deep pockets to invest in these girls, the Black girls and Latinx girls and Pan-Asian girls and the girls from underserved communities where they have their offices and where, people live and work to just get involved and invest into our students.
What are the ages of the girls that you work with?
Our girls are 8 to 18. So
very cool.
we start them young because I figure, the younger, the better. And I tell you, the young ones are so cute. They're like, me, I got a question. They're like sponges, absolute sponges. They are the most fun to work with, quite frankly.
That's so awesome. And how do you go about selecting girls to participate in the program? How do they get involved?
Right. So I used to be the director of global giving at an AI, artificial intelligence tech company. And I used to write a lot of big checks. And, I participated with the Unified School District and from counties and cities all over the Bay Area, after school programs, even churches. I even got a grandma network that found me on Facebook and they were like 25 grandmas coming down, bringing their granddaughters to Google, knocking on the door at 7:30. Okay, let us in. I'm like, they're powerful to say the least.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So when you think about the collaboration efforts and all the things that go into it, how do others get a chance to participate? How do you go about, reaching out to other entities for them to collaborate? Is it easy for others to get involved or is there a process?
Oh, it's totally easy. It's very easy. They just need to shoot me an email and they can email info@girlstemstars.com. That's INFO at girlstemstars.com. And we are grateful for anybody's help. I need pro bono help with, marketing, campaigns. We need a grant writer. We need, people that are interested in making an impact, making a difference in this world. You see so much stuff that's messed up. Well, then do something about it. And you've got a skill. If you're a lawyer, or if you're a tax person, or if you're, whatever it is, if you've got a skill, then share it with those who are in need. And Girl STEM Stars is in need of you.
Very cool. And are the girls doing challenges at all? Do you introduce maybe problems that they then come, sort of crowdsource, come together to try to solve? Are those types of activities at all involved in what you do?
They do on-site visits. It's actually a good idea that we could do them virtually, but they do them on site where they're given challenges and they have to come together and figure it out. Like we were at the Chabot Space Center and they had to create their own space center and they were given a big board and materials. And it was amazing to see the different ideas that they had for space centers. And they also had to create like tunnels and stuff and like real physical tunnels. And it was amazing to watch the girls, collaborate and see what they come up with. But I love your idea that, I could probably do challenges online as well.
That's very cool. Yeah, I
Thank
could
you.
see the things the way that you have been doing it or approaching it is amazing. And so, for us, we see that there's so many challenges within the healthcare sector, right? For which we need technologists to come and participate and be a part of. Are there synergies at all with some of the things that these girls are learning that tie into some of the advancements that we're seeing in other combined sectors of STEM, like, for example, in healthcare?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let me tell you a story. I had what was supposed to be a routine surgery that went sideways. And long story short, I got very sick, taken to the emergency room, and told that I was dying. Call my family, and my husband and I are like, "What?" And my husband told me, I don't remember any of this. My husband told me afterwards that they had did an MRI and they found 3 tumors in my abdomen. They removed them. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I was, holding court in my room. I had vendors coming. I was hosting a big event at the Metreon in San Francisco, 1,000+ people. And I guess 2 weeks in, I was talking to a nurse, and then next thing you know, toot, 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 everything crashed. And it's like code blue, or whatever they say the code is, and toot, toot, toot. And they had to revive me and call my husband and say, okay, your wife is dying, and we've had to induce her in a coma. So I'm in this coma for nearly a month. And when I came out of it, my auntie, I'm a believer, she's a believer. And she came to my recovery bed and she said in her voice, girl, do you realize that God sent his warring and ministering angels to fight for you and to keep you? It's not just to continue working at this tech company. You have a greater purpose on your life. And I'm like, because I'd been, the director of global giving, traveling around the world and writing the big checks and going to the galas and all of this stuff. And I thought, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing good in the world. But when I look back at what do I feel like is still not working? What can I fix? And I realized that I was asking HR and recruiting, hey, hire more people that look like me. And I felt like it was falling on deaf ears. So whilst in recovery, I prayed about it and realized, okay, instead of whining and complaining, and let's be the change that I want to see. So I literally, from my recovery bed, picked up the phone and called LegalZoom and said, I want to start a nonprofit that advances Black girls and youth of color in STEM. That is how Girl STEM Stars got started. And, I give motivational speeches. I have a small company called Kiwoba Speaks, and I speak at tech companies, and I give them motivational speeches of like, you don't have to wait till you die, to nearly die, to like make a difference right now, today, in this virtual world where we're at right now. Whether you do it with Girl STEM Stars or whether you do it with the local SPCA or a cleanup beach committee, get out there and do something to make a difference in this world.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Absolutely. And the fact that you really saw those opportunities and went after them, right? Without hesitation is
There's a
amazing.
great point to, yes, write the big checks, but then there is also the side where it's time to roll up your sleeves and give a hand up instead of just a hand out. When these girls, we were 5 years now going to Google. I remember the first year, they're like, wow, this place is big. This place is amazing. And they all kind of stuck together in a small group, right? Just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. And now they have great expectations of my events. They're like, oh, Miss Kiwoba's having an event. It's going to be great. They walk in the door and now that's like, oh yeah, there's where the snacks are. Oh, hi, Miss Joan. Oh, and they feel at home. It doesn't feel like this big, like looming place that's like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here. They won't have imposter syndrome because they've been at every tech company in the Bay Area. And I remember when I started at a startup, and then, I went to Google, then I went to Facebook, and especially at these very large, big box companies, it's easy that if you're one of 2 people in a campus of 3,000 people, that you may experience a little imposter syndrome. But my girls won't ever experience that because they've been there and they know what it's like. They have a sense of belonging and confidence when they walk into the doors of a tech company.
That's really awesome. And so it sounds like you've been able to change their perspective on what is possible for them. Is that
Exactly.
fair to
They
say?
can see it, they can be it.
That's really awesome. And how are you measuring it all? Because I presume that's an aspect of it, right?
Yes, lots of surveys. I survey the parents and I will have parent sessions. So I will, sit with the parents for like 30, 45 minutes and just let them tell me how their daughters are doing. I give surveys and ask specific questions on, what was their grades like? How are they now? What was their interest in STEM? What is it now? What subjects are they now interested in? How is their interest in math and science and technology so far? So, and the girls are flourishing. I get emails from the parents like, "What'd you do to my kid? She wants to be a rocket scientist." Or I remember when we were at a tech company and we had Congresswoman Jackie Spears speak, and she walked down the hall, and we had like 80 or 90 girls, and the girls were like, "Ooh, what's this old white lady going to say to us?" And we're like, Jackie and I are looking at each other, and I'm like, "Oh, these girls have something coming." And she gets on stage and she says, "I got shot up 5 times, left for dead overnight." The girls are like, and then she says, "I got married, I got pregnant, and then my husband got hit by a car and killed in Golden Gate Park." The girls are like, and she goes, "I'm going to show you how you overcome adversity. I'm going to tell you that I can't run this constituency of California without STEM, and I am the boss of California." Then she shows a picture of herself with President Obama, and the girls are like, "Oh my gosh." And they fall out onto the floor and they take their little notepads. And, these are the little girls that said, "I wanted to be like Beyonce at the beginning of the day." And then they're like, "Okay, now who do you want to be like?" "I want to be like that badass congressman, man. She badass. I want to get her autograph." There we go. Mind's blown.
I love it. I absolutely love it. When you were getting started in the beginning, what were some of the resources that you had found were like invaluable for, just getting off the ground?
People. I tend to hold a lot towards my chest. I keep things close to my breast. And I was trying to write the 501c3 from my recovery bed. That was not the smartest thing to do. And I was on the phone. Larry Moody, who was the former mayor of East Palo Alto, had given me a call to see how I was doing. And I'm crying. And he goes, "Are you in a lot of pain?" I'm like, "I'm trying to write this 501c3. And he goes, "Girl, why are you trying to do that from your recovery bed?" He goes, "We have people to do that for you." And so he introduced me to a lawyer that was interested in exactly the type of organization, that a nonprofit that I was trying to put together. And that lawyer wrote the 501c3 and their company paid for it. And I realized, just speak up, tell people what you're trying to do, write it down, make a plan, and then share that plan. And people will come and knock you down trying to help you.
That is a beautiful message to leave with folks and very inspiring, very inspiring.
Thank
If there
you.
were one resource that you would say that has been tremendously useful for you beyond the people, are there any additional ones that you would add, something that folks are just not tapping into?
We were really blessed when, pre-COVID, where people were sending grant opportunities to us. And that was really awesome, where I can speak in front of 1,000 people and move that crowd to tears. But grant writing, it's not in my wheelhouse. Taxes, it's not in my wheelhouse. And so I definitely need pro bono help. But the resources that I found that were super helpful was when I did pay for, grant writer, then I could send them all of the grants that people were sending me and ask that grant writer to apply for us and write that grant for us. So just having people send grants to us or recommending us for certain programs. One woman who works at Facebook, she recommended us for the Instagram We Create program. And that's going to be jumping off in launching at the end of February. And I got pro bono help from a marketer in New York they were sourcing Black nonprofits and Black small businesses and Black businesses to help us. So it was a really great, project and synergy. So being aware of opportunities, strike that. If you have knowledge of grants or of opportunities to participate in special programs, or if you know sponsors, your friends are rich, like talk to them about Girl STEM Stars, share our website, share our giving link.
That sounds wonderful. So, Kiwoba, I know we've talked a lot about many of the tech companies, which is super awesome because I'm all about that. But I'm also all about the healthcare aspect of tech, right? So, have you guys participated in any activities that engage the healthcare community?
Oh, yes. remember I told you that, I nearly died, and a lot of my doctors are really good friends of mine. And my surgeon is a very good friend of mine now. We're very close. And I asked him if he'd be interested in hosting our Girl STEM Stars at Kaiser. And he just ran with it. He goes, oh, yes. And I've got some Black women that would be interested in speaking to them, women of color. And, we'll have this big conference room. And he even barbecued. He's a pit master. He even barbecued for the girls. But the best part was that, we went in, he gave us a tour of the hospital, and he started with every place that Miss Kiwoba has been. And the girls are like, what? So they went to the emergency room.
So you got a patient's journey.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Exactly. This is the room, the table that she sat on during in the emergency room when she first got here. And then we brought her to ICU, and she stayed in ICU for a month. And they were actually able, because it was slow, they were actually able to put gowns on, mask up, and go into ICU. And then they went into the room that I was. And then they got to go into the surgery room where Dr. Malone, Dr. John Hernandez Malone, amazing guy, did surgery on me. And he did multiple surgeries on many different times, on many different occasions. But I got to stand up there and say, okay, I pulled up my shirt. I'm like, okay, now this is where he cut this out. And he just kind of like, okay, you see that scar there? This is where I took out, this tumor here. And then you see that scar over there? This is where, and the girls are like, oh, some of the girls are like, wait, let me see that scar again. And some of the girls are like, ew. And he got to show them different tools in the surgery room, the OR, that he used on me. And he goes, this is where I sucked out the infection. And they are like, oh, because I was septic. I went septic. And that's why, that's why it hit my heart, my liver, my kidneys, and my lungs. So they had to do a lot of sucking out of infection. But the girls were just blown away. They got to hear from some women of color of influence at Kaiser. And of course, they all went out of there wanting to be little doctors. It was a fabulous day.
That is so beautiful. What a lovely story. And so, and so inspiring again. I have to commend you on all the amazing work that you're doing and how you have, taken your own life's journey, right, as an opportunity to make a difference in the world of so many young women. It's really amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Remind our listeners again, if they wanted to get a hold of you, what would be the best way to do that?
Info at girlstemstars.com. INFO at GIRLSTEMSTARS.com. girlstemstars.com, or you can Google us and a bunch of stuff will pop up for you.
That sounds really awesome. Kiwoba, it was a pleasure to have you here on the show with us today. And thank you to our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, friend. I really appreciate you showcasing my nonprofit, Girl STEM Stars. And God bless you and everybody out there listening.
Thanks for tuning into Reach Radio. This program is made possible by listeners like you. To learn more about Reach and to support this program, visit www.reachtl.org.